How you doing, sir?
Just fine, thank you. And I know you are too. So let's get to it.
So today what we're going to be talking about is channeling your higher self. Often when we have a talk, you will often say, listen, after the talk, I don't even recall what was talked about until I listen to the talk afterwards. Let's talk about channeling your higher self.
Actually, you're doing so. Every word, you're channeling yourself with every word that you say, that you think, that you feel. That's what you're doing. As a matter of fact, that's your religion. You understand? I don't know what you call your religion, but that is your religion, what you're doing. Do a thing and you shall have the power. And good or otherwise, because you're given to choose, right?
Absolutely. So, question, uh, when you first started on this journey, this wasn't the case. When did this come about? When did you start realizing? I know you had the metaphysical art theater. Something happened that caused all of that to happen. What was that event?
I woke up a degree. But I say that and I'm laughing, but at the same time, that's exactly what it is. You see, we're not usually wholehearted in what we do. You see, that's you denying yourself, and we are told that all denial is self-denial. So you're on all the time. Do you know what you're thinking? Did you have it go through your deciding conference with yourself? This is a good idea. I'll follow through, but if it's not, let's get rid of it. And the way you get rid of it is you go back to your good idea, and you stay there because what has your attention has your life. I mean, there you are. It's that simple, isn't it?
It is. So, going back to you were a contractor. How did you make the shift from contractor, building and constructing, to constructing souls at the Metaphysical Art Theater?
No, I did both.
Okay.
I mean, during the day I was the contractor, and in the evening I gave these talks 3 nights a week.
Okay.
And I did that for like about 5 years. But you see, the thing of it was is that it was always the same people coming back.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I only had space for so many, and so I would have had to get a larger place. But then the same thing happens again. You see, because they will always want more, more, and more. Like they're if they get enough of it, why then it'll help some. But no, 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 it doesn't. It's what you're thinking and feeling. That's what you're doing. Period. If you can't figure it out from there, I don't know what I can do to help you. Do you?
No, I don't. So, was your desire for them to come and be fed, then go out and feed others? Was it?
That's other. That's it. The whole idea was you come. I gave you your message, and I gave it to you very plainly. I didn't give you a lot of religious jargon or not. I gave you the message the way God intended for you to take it. And after all, look, didn't he tell you just come and talk to me? Didn't he just say just talk to me? Well, do you? I mean, seriously, do you? See, I thought I did, but you see, I was fooling myself, and I did a lot of that fooling myself. And actually, it takes a long time to get over fooling yourself. I mean, you don't just kind of like switch real quick. It's a process, and you have to be diligent, and you have to see what does have your attention because that's what has your life. Isn't that right?
It is fooling yourself. Let's touch on that for a second. Most of us don't even know that we're fooling ourselves unless there's a
So
mirror. So, how do you get to the place of realization?
No, hey, it's just self-study. You're busy looking all around out there and studying everything. But what about self? Yeah, you know more about what's going on around you than you know about yourself. And I did prove that because once I started really listening to what my conversations with myself were, what my suggesting to myself were, it kind of brought up the question of, well, now if as I think I am, is that mean that? Yeah, absolutely. You're praying ceaselessly. Remember, you're praying ceaseless. Every word, whether it comes out of your mouth or you're thinking, because it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And that's what you are. That's what you're doing. That's what you're having. That is your religion, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's funny that you speak about praying ceaselessly because I remember scripture saying, pray without ceasing, but I didn't realize I was doing it. So I would read books by the author E.M. Bounds, and I was trying to figure out how to pray. I was spending 3 or 4 hours in prayer, not realizing I was praying throughout the day.
And actually, when you really intend to pray, you usually stifle yourself in so many ways. You allow other things. It tell you, go in a closet, close the door, leave your baggage outside the door, and but it just kind of slides under the door a little bit. So yeah, you kind of have to be aware of what has your attention, because look, you're on all the time, thinking what, feeling what. You see, the way you feel is taken by your body as your request, and it fulfills it almost immediately. And you go, oh, what was that? What was that? And then if you focus on that, well, then that expands. You see, that's the way it works. Isn't that the way it works?
That's exactly how it works. So, scripture says, take no thought as to what you shall say. And I think you've taken that to a whole new level. I think that's when we get on these talks, it's not like we prep on, I may have some questions or whatever, but you pretty much allow spirit to speak through you. Do you notice a difference between you and that higher self?
Oh, oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. In other words, at first I recognized the voice. It was my own. But then, what it was saying was not my voice. I wasn't even in that ballpark, so I didn't get to swing at anything. So what are you allowing yourself to entertain as thought? Just that. Is it lovely and of good report? Fantastic. Expand on it. Well, actually, I say expand on it, but you don't need to. As long as your attention is on it, it's expanding. It's always gathering like material, wouldn't you say?
I would say you asked the question, you said, what are you allowing yourself to entertain as thought? And scripture says the spirit is subject to the prophet or the person that the spirit abides in. So that's a very powerful question. What are you allowing yourself to think as thought?
Yes, you see, and I have to guard myself every day. I'll be sitting there just musing for a moment, and here I find myself off actually building monsters, and I'm going, where are we going with this, Lindell? I mean, do you really want to experience? Well, no. Well, then drop it. Turn from that. See, we don't do that. We let it guide us instead of us guiding our own inner conversations, because that's your whole life, isn't it?
It is. I like that you just said that, when you said it, we don't guide it, we allow it to guide us. And it goes back to that proverb that says, the tail is wagging the dog. And many of us, that's exactly what we're doing. We're being wagged by the tail, and wherever the tail leads us, that's where we go.
That's it. You just summed it right there too. That's it. And that's what we're doing. We're summing what you're doing. That's all we're doing. We're not telling you what to think. We're telling you what you are thinking. Watch it. Really listen to it. Really see. Look, if everything you're saying, you wind up experiencing, you see, and you can kind of gauge, this is what's happening, but this is what I thought ahead of time. But you see, we don't remember what we thought ahead of time. That, I mean, and even if we do, we have an excuse for it. We have a reason for it. We have an escape, you might say, because that's what you're doing. You're trying to escape out of bars you put before you. Well, they may not be bars, but you're still denying yourself when you say.
Absolutely. You said that they may not be bars, but often they're even tougher than bars. The person in prison can often be free, and we who are supposedly free are imprisoned by our own minds and our own thoughts.
That's really a great point you make there. People don't realize that they have actually blocked themselves in, and understand you can never go any further than your thought. If you see yourself as incarcerated in some way, look, you're free. If you will think freedom, you're free. But you're thinking captivity, and so you feel captivity. It says very plain in scripture, as you think you are, period. I mean, there it is. Are you thinking what you want to do? Or are you thinking what you hope you don't have to do? Which is you verifying, yeah, this is it. Because you're always thinking ahead of the evidence you're experiencing. And that's good or otherwise. Choose. And you are choosing, aren't we?
We are. We are.
Every day, right?
Absolutely.
And what does he say? This day. But it's always this day. And if you just quit dragging yesterday into today, you might find you enjoy it a little better. And then once you understand the benefit of enjoying it a little better, you'll start watching what you're saying so you don't drag it into today. This all sounds kind of ding dongy, I know, but test it. Are you not told, test me now herewith and see if I would not open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing you don't even have room to receive it? Is that what you're experiencing? Is it? God offered it to you. He also said, if you turn to me, I'll turn to you. So the ball's in your court. What are you doing? What are you thinking about? What are you feeling? That's all you have to ask yourself. Look, it starts off very simple like that, but then suddenly you find, well, what do I believe? Yeah. See, then you start lying to yourself. And I know because I did it a lot of times. And now I ain't no different than you. I lied, you lied, we all lied. And in fact, scripture even tells us not one is worthy. It's all grace. But you have to accept the grace. You have to step forward and claim the grace that is offered you. It's offered you. He told you, if you turn to me, I'll turn to you. If God turns to you, what would be your problem? What would be their problem?
I couldn't figure it out. There should be none.
It's an open, it's this day and it's always this day. So you have an opportunity every day to change. And you're told, change your mind, change your world. Why tell you to do that if you can't? Would God be telling you to do it if you couldn't do it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. You asked the question, so I want to come back to that question. You said, what would be the problem? And after we talked about it briefly, it dawned on me, belief or the lack thereof.
Actually, the thing of it is, there isn't a lack of belief. It's just
Okay,
which version.
that's true. That's that's a very good point. How you believing? Absolutely,
If you can choose, that's freedom, isn't it?
absolutely.
Are you setting yourself free? Look, every time I would catch myself thinking, and if I would ask myself, do I want to go there? Do I want to do that? Do I want to experience that situation? No. Well, 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 then why are you building on it? Every minute you're thinking about that idea you don't want to do, you're building it. And every time you turn to it, you're building it. If you're going to build something, think only on things lovely and of good report. Or think on things lovely and of good report. That's the way scripture has
I
it.
like only. I like the only.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that should be the aim.
Yeah,
You may never meet it, but that's the aim.
that's the aim. I think that was Scripture's aim, even though it didn't put the word only. I think that the apostle or whoever wrote the Scripture thought that it was understood. These are the things that you should give your attention to. So it wasn't said only, but it was the assumption that we would understand these are the things you should give your thinking or your thoughts to. You said something earlier, and I could only say, wow. You said that you couldn't go any further than your thoughts.
As you think you are, doesn't that
Yeah.
see, doesn't that make it?
Yeah.
See, there's no limit. See, in other words, you were given total freedom. Really, that's what you were given because you get to choose the day, and it's always this day. So you go, you're always there choosing, but choosing what? Look, it's all this, it's all straight out, just like this, as you think you are. You can go to all the churches and synagogues and mosques and whatever else, and if they're telling you to do anything other than that, then they don't know what they're talking about. You have freedom. You were given free the minute you were given, and it's for every child born of woman. So that's when you got it. You have the gifts of God, and that you're told that using the gifts of God is worshiping God. There it is, right?
Absolutely. That's the highest form of praise, using his gifts.
Because that means you believe Him. There are hundreds. I don't even know the number anymore. There are hundreds of promises
Yeah.
that God has given you. A promise. Do you see? There it is. If you say you believe but you don't do, then actually you don't believe.
Absolutely.
But you believe other than what you were supposed to do. Did you get that one?
I did. And I think that they may have to listen to it a few times, but it's absolutely true. We truly do what it is that we believe. We can say what we believe verbally, but ultimately the fruits will reveal whatever that fruit is in your life, that lifestyle, that outcome, that result. It's going to tell what it is that we believe. So I'm in absolute agreement.
If you're getting results, why don't you look at them? You see, you got the results. You're living your life as a result of what you think. So if a man with order, his conversations are right, and that is in accord with your desire,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
your your passion. And if you don't have a passion, well then get one. I mean, I know it takes a great deal of focus, if you're passionate about something. But that's the whole idea. If you become passionate about what you're doing, it's a done deal, really, if you don't stop. Because that's what stops it. You stop. You turn from it. You get distracted and you don't get back. And I know that first person 1,000 times I did it. I mean, probably more than that, but at least 1,000. But you see, you're told to be in the world, but not to be of the world. In other words, don't constantly be distracted by what's going on out there around you. You got to have time for self to inspect what self is thinking, what self is doing, what self is suggesting to self, because that's what you're going to be doing, right?
Absolutely. It goes back to the subject matter. We're going to be channeling something. And so, like you said, you got to be mindful of what self is doing. But you also said something just now. You said, get yourself a passion. Now, some people's passion goes back to what you were talking about earlier. It's taking them in the opposite direction. They're passionate about the things that they don't want. But of course, because what can you reproduce with that?
All things produce after their own kind, and you're stating a kind.
Yeah.
So you just set yourself up.
Yeah.
And you can do what I did. You can lie about it and say, no, no. But you experience it anyway.
Yeah.
You see, what you're saying now is not falling into the past. If it were falling into the past, that would be it. It'd be over with. But it's not. It's being projected into your future. So you're actually making your future right now with every word, feeling. You're setting yourself up for a future of what, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There it is. Look, why I would love it if you examine it and then turn around and tell me, well, yeah, nah. Then I know I was right and you're wrong. You know, it 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 really is. Even with all the pain, it's really kind of funny that here you're given everything you want. Choose it. All things are possible to those who believe. You believe thousands of things, but are they the right things? That's all you have to ask yourself, isn't it?
It is. It is. You said about choosing, and it goes back to what you often say, they don't open and quicken it. You know, they think, they believe that Pollyanna kind of think that I want to manifest this or be that or do that is enough. But when you choose it, you really have to clothe yourself in it. You really have to become it.
You don't put it off till later.
Yeah.
That's what I always did. I got to look into that. Yeah, I believe that what he's saying. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. What was it I was going to do? Hey, hey, the thing of it is that you're going to run out of time. You see, but the thing of it is that if you're not straight with yourself in your mind, then you get to play the part over again, and it don't get no better. See, until you get better and change your mind, you can change your will. But as long as you're going along with the same thinking, you have the same experiences. That's why we're told not to judge by appearances, isn't it?
It is.
Right there. Well, why judge by appearances if you just keep repeating them? If you didn't like them the first time, you ain't gonna like them any better next time. In fact, you'll hate it even worse, and then that'll just lead you into thinking even more about it. See, we're our own captive. You know, we suffer what we think. You know, and then God tells you, "Well, I suffer with you, but you behold me not."
Yeah.
So He's right there with you. I am you. That's the story. That's what He's telling you. I'm right here with you. You turn to me, I'll turn to you. But if you deny me, I have to deny you because there's only one of us. There's only one decision to make. I am that or I am not that. Right?
Absolutely. What are you channeling? What are you putting out there? And it goes back to what you just said a moment ago. We don't realize that we're fusing God with our choice. We think that God is out there and we're here, and the two are forever should separate be. And that's the biggest lie that's from the pit that has ever been told. That
Well,
separation.
let's talk about sin.
Yeah.
What was sin? It was just missing the mark.
Yeah.
Well, if you didn't have a mark, well then you just hit whatever hit you because you don't know what they were looking for and you didn't recognize it and slammed you upside the head and you're saying, well, why me? Why this? Why now? Well, as you think you are. So if it's happening to you, and you were thinking it, there you are. Whatever's happening to you, you thought it up. When did I think it up? I don't remember that. Well, see, that's the problem. That's man's problem. Has such a poor memory. But if you were focused on listening to what you're saying and suggesting to yourself, you'd find the answer to all your problems right there. Right?
I like that you said that if it's happening to you, it's happening through you.
And it never changes until you change. You're seeing yourself on this theater of mind because, like Shakespeare told us, all the world's a stage and all the men and women are only actors. Actors. You're acting a part.
Yes.
This isn't what you are. This isn't who you are. This is what you're doing. This, as solid and real as it looks to be, it's still not reality because it all goes away. And reality is forever and the same day after day after day forever. But this changes. Everything here goes away. And I'm about ready to go away. That's why I'm here giving you this right now while I can still do it. Because it was given to me. I didn't figure it out. I didn't believe me. I didn't figure it out. You know, I like I said, I wasn't even in that ballpark, so I didn't get to swing. You have to choose something, or just leave it up to fate.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's okay too. That's what most people live by. That's the reason why they're complaining all the time, and that's the reason why they get more to complain about. You set off the cycle. You got to stop it somewhere.
Yeah.
If you don't, it'll just swallow you up. Yeah, attitudes. That's what the problem is, isn't it? Our attitudes.
Absolutely.
Attitude awareness, imaginational control, and you can stroll through. You get these two in working in your life, in your thoughts, in your feelings, and you literally can stroll through. No problem. We make our own. Not only that, we choose them. So if you want to know how unaware you are, you've chosen all your problems. That's how unaware you are. And that's how unaware I was. And I gotta watch myself every day that I don't start dreaming up new ones. See, because we are in the world. See, we're in the world. We're just told not to be of the world, but think for yourself. Because the world's going to start. The world will just
Yeah.
grab you by the throat, man, right now. That's 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 the way it works. Why not work it?
Absolutely. You said something last time we were talking, and you were talking about the world and what was going on the in the world, and then you came and said, "But you don't have to stay there. You can lift yourself up in consciousness." And somebody came back and said, I love the messages, but Lindell seems to be, moving towards doom and gloom. And I said, not so. If we listen to Neville or any teacher, Neville talked about some events that took place during his time, like the kidnappings, the plane crashings, and so forth. Now, if you just took that and you stopped there, you would say, well, Neville sure was being negative, but you have to look on the world without so that you can begin to focus on the world within. Otherwise, you think that the world without is the key player. People don't realize that mind is the key player. And the only reason why these things are taking place is because people have given their attention to these so called negative events.
What has your attention has your life. And if you're experiencing the negative, then that's what has your attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
The, the thing of it is, it's so difficult because it is so simple. And we're not to believe that anything. I mean, look, you can go to church for 40 years and they're still telling you to do this and do this and do that and do that. And if you don't do this, you'll do that and do that right. Hey, you're gone anyway. No matter what you do or don't do, because not one is worthy. So it's not about being worthy, it's about being willing. Are you willing to sit in the silence and consider what we're talking about?